What is an outlier? What is an outlier? What is a seeker? And are they the same? They have similarities, but they are not the same. An outlier is somebody that is just different. If you just look at somebody that's not average, like your average person that walking down the street, they're completely different. They might have tattoos over their body, they might have piercings, they might have green hair, they might be going to the grocery store in a bunny outfit. That's an outlier. That's somebody that takes the risk. That's somebody that takes the fortitude and the imagination to be different, not be average. That's an outlier. What's a seeker? A seeker is somebody that seeks to be an outlier. A seeker is somebody that seeks knowledge. A seeker is somebody that seeks wisdom. A seeker is somebody that seeks internal understanding about themselves. That's a seeker. But they can be combined as one. You can be a seeker as well as being an outlier. Okay? So if you have a desire to be an outlier, but you've always been sort of like the wallflower, you always think of yourself as kind of an average. Always think of yourself as like, well, I've never really taken any risk in my life. I've never done anything unusual in my life. Then we're going to talk about that in this video. Same way as being a seeker. A seeker is somebody, and let's use knowledge as the example. A seeker of knowledge is somebody that never settles. They never settle for the status quo. That's a seeker of knowledge. You can be a seeker of knowledge. You can be a seeker of a better life. You can be a seeker of information. You can be a seeker of a better job. You can be a seeker of a better relationship. That's a seeker. They are both kind of interwoven in a way. Okay? In order to be a seeker, you kind of have to be an outlier. In order to be a seeker of anything, you have to be an outlier in the way you think. So how do you become an outlier? When you think of yourself as being just average, or society thinks of you as being average, and you don't want to rock the boat, you don't want to go against the norms, go against society, go against the rules, go against the restrictions. Okay, you in your body, in your mind, in your soul, you've been conditioned from a young child not to do that. You gotta color within the lines. Okay, that's a status quo. You gotta color within the lines. That's not an outlier. A child that has an outlier's mind would have the coloring book, and they're making the face purple, okay? Or they're adding another arm to the coloring, to the page. They do things differently. They don't do things just exactly how they're supposed to do them. That's being an outlier. And in order to understand, where's my book? In order to understand the common point philosophy in my book, you have to search deeply into yourself about how you can become personally an outlier. You also have to understand that you need to be a seeker of knowledge, because there's a lot of knowledge in this book. So my recommendation is this: start small. If you're a very confined person, if you're very packaged, as you will, if you're a very packaged person, like I've always done this way, and it's always got to be done that way, and when everything's just got to be so organized this way, if you're so regimented in your life, okay, you're not an outlier. You're regimented, and there's nothing wrong with order. There's nothing wrong with order and being regimented. You can say the word. Let's go back to the word order. It's better. There's nothing wrong with having order in your life. But if you look at nature, if you were to go out in a park, it's chaotic order. There is no order. Trees don't grow in a line. Okay? Water doesn't fall in a line. It's like a chaotic order. There's an order to nature, but it's not an order like you would think, like, oh, here's the front of my house, here's a window here, here's a door, here's a wall, here's a sidewalk. The next house looks like the same thing. That's order. What we do as human beings, we create that order in our world in order to manufacture things quicker, in order to be productive quicker. That's order. It's like when Henry Ford was making the cars on the conveyor belt, and everything was orderly. This person does this person does the seats, this person does the windshield, this person does the motor. It's order. It's more productivity if you have order. But in nature, it's more of a chaotic order. There's order there. I mean, the tree is going to grow, okay? But you'll have a tree here, and you'll have a different kind of a tree here. So when you look at that site, you look at that image of the park, you don't see the order. You see more of a chaotic tapestry of the park. Back to when I was saying order, you as a person, if you got yourself confined into that restriction, that like a military order, like all the things in the kitchen have to be this way, and all my pants have to be stacked this way, all the sizes have to be this way, all the shirts have to be this way. There's nothing wrong with that, because that order takes the chaotic world out of your life. It makes more sense to you. You know where things are in your mind. You think, oh, I know exactly where my shirts are. I know exactly what size that shirt is over there. If you have things that are stacked in your closet by size or by color. But that is an orderly life, which is nothing wrong with that, because you can get a lot of things done when you have that kind of order. But hear me out. I'm going to say this, and I want you to hear what I'm saying. You can get a lot of things done in the order that you're in. In other words, if you're folding the laundry and you fold the towels the same way every time until you do it, you're going to have order in your life. But it doesn't give you growth. Order doesn't give you growth. It's just a production. It fulfills the production. So if you are in your kitchen and you open your kitchen cabinets and you have all the big plates here and all the middle-sized plates here and all the smaller plates here and all the cups here, and here's all the blue cups and here's the red cups, here's the green cups, and you have all that complete order in your life, then you have no way to see a chaotic space. See what I'm saying? You want to put yourself in a chaotic space. When you put yourself in a chaotic space, then you become a seeker. It's like saying, I'm going to take you and I'm going to blindfold you. I'm going to drop you in a neighborhood in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't know what town it is. I'm just going to drop you, and then you take your blindfold. You got to figure out a way first to get out of the city. Where am I? How do I get home? Because there's no order there. It's chaotic. It's completely chaotic. You go back into your primal instincts. Like, you got to go back to your primal instincts. Like, I've got to save myself. Safety. I need safety. I need security. I need to protect myself. Where am I? Where am I? And then when you start figuring all that, your mind starts figuring all that out, then you put the order back together again so you can get back home. Why did I go down this rabbit hole about order? Hold that thought. I'll be right back. When you put yourself in an outlier's environment, like I said earlier, being dropped in a city and you're lost and you got to figure out, your mind, our minds don't like being in an outlier environment. It doesn't like it. It creates fear. It creates disinformation. It creates uncertainty. It creates being uncomfortable. It creates protectionism. When you live as an outlier, it creates all that. But because of that, your mind will seek safety. Your mind will seek knowledge. Your mind will seek protection. So what happens when you put yourself in an outlier's lifestyle, okay? It makes you grow. It makes you grow. It makes your mind grow. So instead of being average Joe sitting in the chair, watching TV and doing the same thing over and over and over and over, repetition kills the mind. Repetition kills the soul. Repetition kills ambition. Repetition kills desire. So by putting yourself out there as an outlier, you become a seeker. By putting yourself out there as an outlier, you become a seeker. I'm going to give you an example. Hang on. I was watching a TV show the other day. I can't remember the name of the show. I think it was Roseanne. This is the show's later when Roseanne wasn't on the show anymore. Dan, her husband, Dan was sitting on the porch with the door open, looking all the way into the hallway at the television. He was being an outlier. He wasn't being average. He wasn't sitting on the couch close to the TV, close to his beer. He was way out on the porch, looking through the doorway at the television, way on the other side of the hallway. Why was he doing that? He was doing that because he was tired of the atmosphere. He was tired of the family fighting, tired of all the stuff that was going on around him in the living room. He was tired of that. But he wanted to watch the television, but he wanted to put himself in an outlier position so he wouldn't be part of that. He just wanted to have line of sight to see the television show. He didn't want to be part of anything else. So he physically put himself out on the porch, dragged his chair out there, his lounge chair, his comforter chair, and sat there and was watching TV through the doorway on the porch. And it's snowing out. and his kids and his sister, Dan, are you okay? Or you want to come in? No, I'm fine. And they kept going. And he would slam the door. And he would chase him away. And they just could not comprehend why he was doing what he was doing. They couldn't put their finger on it, like, why is something wrong with Dan here? But he wanted to be away from that atmosphere. So searching for ways to be an outlier will help you grow. I want to repeat that. Searching for ways to be an outlier in everyday life will help you grow, will keep your mind young, will keep you young, keep your life young. And you'll have a better understanding of yourself when you do that. So as I was saying earlier, a seeker of knowledge and an outlier are very similar, but they kind of merge together. So what I'm getting at in this video is this. Do something. It doesn't matter what. Do something tomorrow or next week to become an outlier, to foster an outlier's life. Do something different. Get a tattoo. you would never do. Or go bowling, something you'd never do. Or, I don't know, go to a nudist camp, something you would never do. Do something completely different that you would not do in your average life. Completely different. And that makes you grow, that makes you stretch, and makes you stretch who you are and what you can become. Because you can't become what you want to become unless you do stuff like that. If you're just going to be the status quo and you're just saying over and over and over and over, like I said earlier about, Henry Ford making the cars. It's the same. You're doing the same job. Okay, I'm putting the doors on. I'm putting the doors on. Here's another. I'm putting the doors on. Putting the doors on. Human beings are not designed to do that. We're not designed to be machines. We're not robots. We're humans. And our mind always wants to expand. Our mind always wants to grow. Our understanding of things always wants to grow. So no matter what you do in life, in order to grow, you must stretch. It's like stretching a muscle. Think of it that way. You're going to go to the gym. If you're just going to be average and I'm going to do the same curls every day, you're not being an outlier. But if you put more weight on there, or you try a different position, or you try a different weight, even if you try a different location, even if you take the weights you use and you go in a different location and do your workout, instead of looking at the mirror, look out the window. Put yourself in a different location, a different space and time, and you will become an outlier automatically, and your mind will grow exponentially. Your knowledge will grow exponentially. You will see so much growth in your life if you do this. So become an outlier. Find something to do to become an outlier. And never stop doing that. Never stop doing that, and you'll keep growing. Same way with being a seeker. Like I said, they go hand in hand. Oh, book's upside down. That's what this book's about. This book, the Common Point philosophy and the book of Common Point are about that. It's about stretching. It's about digging deep into yourself. Not what do I want to do, but what are my possibilities? How far can I go with my life? How far can I stretch my life? How far can I reach and actually obtain what I want in my life? Here's the answer. It's endless. It's endless what you can reach. It's endless what you can obtain. It's endless what you can do with your life with this philosophy. Don't become mundane. Don't become status quo. Don't settle. Never settle for the status quo. If you have an average, quote unquote, job to make money, figure out a way as you're doing that job not to be average. Figure out a way if your boss will allow it, or if you can just get away with it somehow, figure out a way when you're doing your job not to be average. Let's say you're working in a warehouse. You're in a warehouse and you have to stack boxes. This is your job. All day you have to take boxes out of a truck. You have to put them on a hand truck. You have to put them on a float. You got to bring them into the building. You got to stack them. Figure out a way to do that creatively. Don't do it the same way every single time, every day, day in, day out, because your mind will shut down and say, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. And you will just want to give up. That's why people quit. That's why people have a hard time going to work every day, getting up in the morning, because they just want to give up. So when you move in those boxes, if your boss will let you, be a little more creative about how you do it, okay? Maybe don't stack the boxes all in the same order. Maybe make a pattern, okay? Maybe number them. Do something creative as you're moving the boxes from the truck to the float, to the trailer, to where you got to stack them. Do something creative. If you got to do donuts with a do donuts with a hand truck. I don't care. But just take a moment to do something creative when you're doing something mundane. Take a moment to do something out of the box, creative. Be an outlier. Be an outlier. Be an outlier. And it will help your brain and your mind and your desires and everything you want come to you quicker. It's that simple. It's not complicated. I'm going to go. I think I might have a video. It's been one of those days. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. If you go down there in the show notes, I think it's over here. There's a little logo. Click on the logo. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. And you go, oh, I don't want to subscribe. I'm just going to hitchhike. Be an outlier. Be part of the Common Point movement. Be part of the Common Point philosophy. You will not regret it. Down there, subscribe. Also, in the show notes, you're going to see it says songs by John Tenuto playlist. Click on the playlist. Click on the playlist. You can listen to my songs. And the lyrics are similarly related to my philosophy. Love you guys. Gotta go. Bye now.